Greetings to each of you. I am the Reverend Dr. Shalita Mira. I am a senior pastor, licensed clinical social worker and psychologist, and the owner and operator of the Heart-Centered Journey Counseling, Coaching, and Consultation. This is the third seminar or workshop in our trauma resilience series. If you have not watched the first two series, please go back and watch those series. They're extremely important because the first series really focuses on how we define and understand trauma and the varying intersections of how trauma impacts our lives. The second series really focuses in on what is trauma, how it affects the biopsychosocial, spiritual dimensions of the individual. We use the acronym trauma and go through each of those acronyms, looking at the physiological impact of trauma on our lives to create awareness. And so in today's seminar, we're going to look at how we cope with trauma. If we want to be trauma resilient, we have to get to the space where we not only understand trauma, what it is, how it enters our life, the varying doors. We not only need to know how it impacts us biologically, psychologically, socially, and spiritually, systemically, whether it's individual level, family, community, state, nation, but we also need to know how to cope. So now we're getting to the place where we're like, I've experienced trauma. I'm having all of these alarms. I'm having some unrest. Doc, how do I cope? Right? How do I cope? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then our last installment of the series is going to look at healing, which is how we take coping to the next level and make it our daily living. So we're going to talk about coping by using the acronym COPE, C-O-P-E, and each of these letters are going to symbolize something. The C is for calming strategies. The O is for optimism and open communication. We're going to look at coping with a P. So we're going to look at a different coping strategies that begin with P that we can implement into our lives. And then E is emotional processing. So let's dig in. So C is for calming strategies. So when we recognize triggers and we start to develop these coping strategies, the goal is, how do I calm this neurological response to the trauma? How do I calm the shaking? How do I calm the rapid breathing? How do I calm the worry? How do I calm the shaking? These are some varying ways that you can do that. The first one we're going to talk about is deep breathing. So deep breathing is the practice of slow, deep, and intentional breathing. If you're inhaling, we say inhale through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, focusing on the breath. And this can help bring you into the present moment and to reduce any anxiety. The reason we do breath work is it is scientifically proven to help get us back to the space of regulation in the autonomic nervous system. Remember, stress targets what sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So when we target those autonomic processes by controlling our breathing, it reminds us that we're in control in this moment. We are. And we can calm ourselves by focusing on the breath and focusing on the giver of the breath. Reminding ourselves that even though what's going on around us seems to be uncontrollable, we have the power to control ourselves. And we can do that by paying attention to the breath. And then grounding techniques. So grounding techniques is another calming strategy, and it's a way to engage your senses to ground yourself in the present. You want to notice and describe 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and maybe 1 thing you can taste. And this exercise helps to shift your focus away from the distressing thoughts and memories. Progressive muscle relaxation. Systematically tense and relax your muscles. You can start with your toes and work your way up, tensing each muscle group for a few seconds. And this practice can help relieve that physical tension and promote a sense of calm. Positive self-talk. This is one of my favorite. The Bible reminds us that life and death lie in the power of the tongue. And when we're going through challenging situations, the worst thing we can do is speak negativity, speak falsehood. Then last thing we want to do is take those unhealthy narratives that are going on in our mind and release them from our mouth. So that means that we have to use life-giving dialogue. We have to use this positive self-talk. So we have to challenge negative thoughts and replace them with positive, realistic affirmations. We can encourage and support ourselves with statements like, I can handle this. I am capable and resilient. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I have overcome challenges before. I will overcome this challenge. Positive self-talk can help shift your mindset and reduce stress levels. Then you have self-soothing activities. So this is engaging in activities that bring you comfort and calm and relaxation. This can include listening to music, taking a warm bath, engaging in gentle exercise, spending time in nature. I absolutely love nature walks. Sometimes it means taking a break from social media and those platforms, and then engaging in a hobby or creative outlet. I also love gaming, positive gaming. I like Animal Crossing, some things like that. And then social support. So it's always good to have a tribe of trusted, positive, life-giving voices, life-affirming voices. So reach out to trusted friends, family members, or support groups. Share your feelings and experiences with those who can provide empathy and understanding so that you'll experience comfort and validation in those moments where you're extremely stressed. So that is our C, calming strategies. Next is our O, optimism and open communication. So the word says this, that God will keep us in perfect peace if we keep our minds stayed upon him. We have to remember that despite all the challenges that go on in our life, God will allow all things to work together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purposes. So open communication is all about engaging in this open and honest dialogue with trusted individuals, and this can be a very valuable coping strategy. When you express your thoughts, feelings, and concern to these individuals, it gives you the opportunity to get some support, some validation, and some wise perspectives that might challenge and reframe your unhealthy thoughts. This is why we need a tribe of wise individuals around us, and we have to be open to hearing what they have to say. Sometimes when we're triggered, when we're aroused, when alarm bells are going off inside of us, the one thing that we don't want to hear is a perspective that's different from our own. But we need that wisdom, because that wisdom helps us to overcome the challenges. We have to embrace the mindset of overcoming challenges as an opportunity for growth. By reframing these difficult situations as learning experiences and viewing obstacles as opportunities to develop resilience and problem-solving skills, guess what? We can approach challenges with more of an empowered mindset. So we must adopt an optimistic outlook that involves focusing on positive aspects, maintaining hope, and believing in the possibility of better outcomes. We have to reframe negative thoughts into more positive and realistic ones. We have to seek silver linings and cultivate that positive mindset. Okay. And we do that by engaging in open and honest communication with those trusted individuals. We have to remain optimistic and be open to communication. Coping with a P, Okay, so these are some different coping strategies that begin with a P. The prayer, professional support, peer support, positive affirmation, pursuing hobbies and interests, and promoting self-care. So we've already kind of talked about these positive affirmations, repeating statements that are the truth about who you are, the truth about who God says that you are, right? We have to speak that which is not as though it is, expect to see it. So even though circumstances and situations may paint a picture, right? We can begin to declare and decree the truth, or through hope and faith, what we desire to see manifest. Listen, listen, listen. Do not be afraid to seek professional support. I know there's such a stigma in many communities around counseling or therapy, but I want you to receive the support that you need. Go to therapy. If you need a life coach, which is different from therapy, find a life coach. If you need spiritual support, go to your spiritual leader. If you need social support, find some social support networks or groups. Whatever support you need, do not be afraid to seek that support. It doesn't matter what people say. You want to be healthy and whole and prospering and producing fruit. So whatever is a barrier to getting to that space, we need to eliminate it. So seek the support that you need. What do you love to do? What brings joy to your heart? What gives you an outlet, right? A way of escape? Those are hobbies and interests. So I love to travel. I love photography. I love writing. I love being out in nature. I love putting together puzzles. There's so many things that I love to do. I absolutely love poetry. I love communing with God. I love prayer. I love prayer walks where I can get out in nature alone and commune and talk to Abba. Find those things that you need to separate you from the world and the issues of life and give you a space to simply be. Stop doing and be, okay? And make sure that in all of this that you're doing, prioritize yourself. We are to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, and to love our neighbor as ourself. We have to prioritize our self-care. It's not selfish to prioritize your self-care. Actually, in order to serve effectively and to serve from a healthy space, you have to be healthy. Yeah, I said it. And so those are some ways to cope with the P. And then the E, okay? So E is emotional processing. Now, this must be done on an individual level as well as a communal level and a collective level in order to bring about change. So what often happens is we experience 3Ds. We don't process our emotions, and so we're detached. Then there's derealization and then depersonalization. So I'm gonna say those again. There's disassociation. I'm just detaching myself from what's going on, right? Then there's derealization. This isn't real. This isn't real. And then depersonalization. It starts to feel like I'm not real. I'm disconnected from myself. So disassociation, derealization, depersonalization equals detachment from the self and detachment from others. But through emotional processes, we can process our pain in a healthy way by practicing forgiveness, exploring reconciliation, and then creating lasting change in our life, which is what healing is all about. So emotional processing helps us to arrive at this space of emotional regulation, meaning that I'm learning strategies to regulate and manage my intense and overwhelming emotions. This can involve techniques such as deep breathing, which we talked about in the last slide of coping with a P, relaxation exercises, mindfulness, and seeking the support that we need. We must associate with ourselves. We must connect to ourselves. We must feel, right? Because emotional processing refers to that psychological and cognitive mechanisms through which we understand, regulate, and make meaning of our emotions. And it really does involve actively engaging with and exploring our own emotions in order to gain the insight that we need, to receive that revelation, right? So that we can promote that psychological well-being and foster adaptive responses to emotional experiences. So that's it for today's seminar. Look for our next seminar, next workshop, where we're going to be talking about healing. But I want you to take some time. I want you to get into a quiet space and do some introspection, expect revelation, or write it down. What do you need to do to calm yourself? What do you need to do to be in a space of optimism and open communication? What do you need to cope with a peeve so that you can be purpose-driven? And what do you need in order to get to that space of emotional processing? This is how we allow ourselves to feel. We must feel so we can heal. So I hope this has been very beneficial for you. I hope that you can identify a coping strategy from today's workshop. And I hope to see you again at our next seminar, where we're going to talk about healing, because it is my goal and desire to see our communities healed. We want to be trauma resilient. We want to resist re-traumatization. We want to prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a phenomenal day.